Hello all, you may have noticed in recent days there's been something of a push from the liberal left state media apparatus against the claims of the quote far right that London is turning into a violent dystopia. It all started with Fraser Nelson. He was first of all arguing that Britain is actually booming, despite how many people feel. And he's also said London is going from strength to strength. Now this led many people, I don't think just on the right, I think really across the board, to make these 1984 references, don't believe the evidence of your eyes and ears, and, do as the state says, which wound up the sort of right-on cosmopolitan London liberals something fierce. And this leads us to this Lewis something or other fella who works on the Liberal Mouthpiece, the Newsagents podcast.
But the truth is these people are not interested in that. I think, John, half of the people that have been coming for us over the course of the last week and who constantly invoke this particular politics, most of them probably have never been to London, or they haven't been to London recently.
Just as a quick note here, if these are the standards to have an opinion on this, I lived in London for 10 years, moved out a few years ago, go every single month for working and social reasons, and have many friends who live there, so I think I'm fair to comment.
They certainly don't live there. I have been, it is quite interesting, astonishing, in the last 24 hours, partly in response to that clip. Astonishing how many of these far-right accounts seem to have been mugged in the last 24 hours alone. Seems to have had remarkable, that.
Now, we'll cover that one in a minute, but I'm going to speed him up a bit, because he does yabber on for a while.
And the truth is that most of it is complete bollocks. Most of it is just nonsense. Most of it is a lie. Most of it is made up. Why do they do it is the interesting thing. And I think they do it because London, and not just London, but the big cities as well, it embodies the politics that they abhor. Their entire shtick, their bullshit, is predicated on the idea that multiculturalism, people from different backgrounds, contemporary liberalism, if you like, all the things that have made up liberalism over the last 10, 20, 30 years, that if you have these things, that it will inevitably lead to a sort of civil war. It will lead to social breakdown. That you have these people living side by side, it cannot happen. And in particular, they focus on Muslims. If you've got a lot of Muslims somewhere, it will just inevitably, inexorably, reflexively lead to a kind of civil breakdown. It doesn't. You and I both know we live in London. It doesn't. London is a thriving city which has a huge economy which contributes so much to the UK. And the fact that it doesn't, it means that London lives rent-free inside their head because it is a living embodiment of how completely wrong they are in their politics every day of the week. So they have to slam it, they have to eviscerate it, they have to tell lies about it, and all of our great cities as well.
Lewis Goodall is this guy's name, by the way. He's a liberal state mouthpiece journalist. But anyway, between the invective, it seems to me he's making three core points I'm going to address in this video. Number one, London is booming. Number two, multiculturalism, liberalism has been a success story, so much so that it winds up the quote far right so badly that just thousands of us have to lie to our audiences about the real state of London because we're so wound up. We wake up every day just in a fit of rage at how successful London is. No David Brent energy on display there at all, is there?
You're swindling out little slugs with no personality and just jealous that we're better at everything than you.
The second quick thing to address is, yes, he is sweating profusely in this clip, which doesn't help his argument. Some people online have likened it to that famous scene in Airplane where he's absolutely sweating buckets trying to land the plane. But look, we've had some uncharacteristically hot weather in southern England recently, so let's give him the benefit of the doubt. And while we're feeling charitable, I think it is fair to say that while this guy, I think, is telling a couple of porkies and presenting a very, very biased case, as we'll get into, it should be said that some people can go a bit overboard with regards to London. What I mean is, while I do believe London is on a sharp decline and it's a tragedy for many British people, even many Europeans to witness, it's still true that London is a world city. If you can get a big job, if you are in the elite there, it still can be a bit of a playground. There's plenty on offer. It attracts high talent from around the world. There's all sorts of industries in which London is a global leader. London is also a treasure trove of culture and history. I often feel sorry for Americans that reach out to me and say, it's my dream to go to London, to visit the motherland, but I see it's declining, can I still go? And I always say, yes, there's still plenty to see there. Just be aware that it is declining, so I'd advise you try and go quite quickly. You also have to remember that there are many Londons, and Lewis lives in a very elite version of London. And as I say, I've sort of experienced that a bit before in the media offices of London. You have black lads, white lads, Muslims, Indians, and yet on the whole everyone rubs on okay. And you have to remember, this is how most of them experience multiculturalism and liberalism. They think the experience of the ones who've got the big jobs, the people who are united by their shared drive to get money and liberal ideology, is representative of the whole. But you don't have to travel far out of their plush office enclaves in Zone 1, complete with their own security teams, to realise that this wonder of diversity isn't exactly the same. In fact, once you start travelling out into the differing zones of London, you'll see that it isn't so much diversity, but specific areas taken over by certain communities. It's not exactly a melting pot. You have Bangladeshi areas, Indian Hindu areas, and on your screen right now, Pakistani areas who are clearly celebrating Pakistani Independence Day. Now, it's very important to bear this in mind because the differing ethnic enclaves of London, of course, have differing crime rates. As you can see on your screen here, we have a rough map of crime in London. Green is lower than the national average, red is higher. Now, take for instance the top left, that's Brent, and this is an Indian area, but you can see the crime rate is very low, whereas other areas dotted throughout the map are much higher. Now, to go back to the beginning, this is why Fraser Nelson's dangling something of a red herring here. Yet, if we look at the overall stats, we can see that certain crime has gone down, things such as murder rates, violence with injury, but we've also seen some other things have gone way up, things like rape, things like business robbery, and especially shoplifting. So while Lewis is going on a tirade against the alleged lies of the quote far right, it seems that he himself is obfuscating matters because it's not so much that crime is dissipating in London, it's that it's changing. Now, to explain this fully, we can see that it's true that murder rates in London have gone down negligibly, but they have gone down. Now, it's worth exploring why this could be. Now, one main reason is that stop and search is in practice by the London Met at the moment. For those who don't know, stop and search gives the police the right to search anybody on the spot that they suspect of carrying a knife or a weapon. Now, this stops crime massively, it saves lives down the line, but as you might imagine, because it targets a certain ethnic group and because somebody gets wrongly searched every now and again, it ends up being this cause célèbre for the left wing, and then it gets banned again for a few years, during which the murder rate spikes. So quite how telling this drop in the murder rate is, we'll see in the long run. However, the bigger issue here is that murder is actually very rare when it comes to the average person. Most murders tend to be committed in these gang environments and so on. The point being here that crimes like murder don't really affect the average person, so negligible decreases in violent crime don't change their day-to-day experience of London. And this leads me to the key point in this whole argument. While the data can claim that violent crime is down, day-to-day crime affecting the average person is up. Remember our crime table? We're seeing sexual assaults and rape up, we're seeing theft up, we're seeing shoplifting way up. And this is why these videos of youths going into shops and stealing things with impunity are all over Twitter every single day. These examples aren't some mass illusion that the public are suffering from due to the hatred and anger of the far right that are just so wound up that multicultural London is so successful and beautiful. These are the sort of things that are witnessed by people on a daily basis. They're also put on social media these days as well to amplify that. Worse still, many crimes people don't even bother reporting to the police because they won't even do anything. I mean, just the other day, the Thames Valley Police Commissioner was saying it's up to the public to tackle shoplifters because they don't have the time. Another key element to this is the general atmosphere of dis-ease and danger you get in London. Migrants from some part of the third world just hanging around in town centres and you don't really know why or what they're doing. Youngsters carrying what look like knives on the London Underground. You don't want to ask them what they're for, you certainly don't want to interrupt them. This case, which went viral, of this guy who bears a resemblance to the Southport murderer who was wandering into people's property, I think, in Canary Wharf. The police didn't even arrest him, they just let him go. Again, this isn't some form of optical illusion. These things are really affecting the average person in the city, and leftists even accidentally prove this is the point. Here's Novara Media's Ash Sarkar. She's saying that right-wing influencers are over-exaggerating muggings in London, but then states, I've lived here my entire life. I've had guys on e-bikes try to nick my phone twice in that whole time. Now, Ash is accidentally giving the game away here because e-bikes are a new phenomenon. It's only since 2020 they've been widespread, and I myself was walking out from London Bridge and a young engineer tried to nick my phone on an e-bike. However, the point is that she's saying that someone's tried to steal her phone twice in only the last few years. In essence, in claiming the right-wingers are exaggerating crime is a problem, she's saying it's not true because crime has been a problem for her. But look, I think you get the point I'm making here, and the meta point behind all of this is, of course, even if everything the leftist liberals were saying about London was true, the reality is people, British people, would still not feel like it's our city. We'd still feel like it's being demographically replaced. And that's because the white British are being demographically replaced in London. They're only 1/3 of the population now and shrinking. So you can revel in the world of money, power and success that you enjoy with your lovely leftist liberal ideology and how wonderful it all is. But in reality, you're living in something of an air pocket sustained by the globalist liberal elite as the rest of London burns all around you. I think another reason why the invective of Lewis Goodall is so unwelcome is because it's symbolic of the world we live in, the London of the mass man, where every human being can be boiled down into data trends. It's sort of rule by spreadsheet and what that says over rule of the collective soul. Anyway, what do you think? Is Lewis right? Are we just lying about the state of London? It's actually a multicultural utopia and he's living rent-free in our heads. So one thing free you'll get in London, that's for sure. Or are you with me? You think London is now on an inevitable decline? Do let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do consider subscribing to the channel if you're new.